Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another fantastic episode of Stories Around Azeroth. As always, I'm Pete Tightscreed Nevercoat, joined by the one and only Mr. Frazley TC.
Hello.
And joining us today, it's an honour and a privilege to be joined by a guest once again. We have got Mitch of Blizzard Watch. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you guys? Good to be here.
It's great to have you here. It's always weird having people that like I admire and like I'm like over here just like fan gnoming. I'm just like, calm down.
It's weird, isn't it? Because I think if you have any sort of guest of any notoriety, like between anyone that you would know or anything that's just big sites of anything else like that, because people hear, like to the outside, people hear Blizzard Watch and they don't know a lot of the faces behind it unless they're part of that community.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like if you turned around and said, "Oh, we chatted to a Blizzard dev," and like the person who's doing that, like we had Athelos on last week, and like I can only imagine what him literally sitting in a room talking to Ian was going to be like. You know,
Yeah.
I could barely imagine what that would be like to sit in a room actually at Blizzard talking to a dev. So it's crazy sometimes, you know, to be able to talk to people like that.
I
So
appreciate
thank
it. You give me way too much credit. So.
Well, you've got all your shiny things in the background behind you. Whereas mine are just in cupboards off to the side and completely out of view.
I tried to set it up a little bit so I could show. I feel like that's like the streamer thing. I wanted it a little more interesting than just a blank wall, but you know.
It happens. I mean, I've got posters on the wall. That's about as blizzardy as I get behind there. I'll be honest with you.
I've got color changing background, so
yeah. Mine doesn't change color, so.
Yeah, that's it. So yes, we are. As I said, it's a pleasure to be joined by Mitch. We're going to be talking Warcraft as we normally do. Those of you that may have listened to us on the pre-show may have heard us dabble about other things that exist. It's shocking that other games exist.
Whoa, yeah.
But yes, we will be talking about what we've been up to in this wonderful home that we call Azeroth. And we're going to be talking about Torghast today. It's the big discussion point of the week. And I think we've all got lots of things to say about it because it's the big thing that we're able to do. It's going to be the end content for Shadowlands, and unfortunately, if you're like Mitch, it's possibly the only content in the alpha you can do.
I was talking to them beforehand. I haven't had much luck making it through Revendreth, which is sad because I really like Revendreth. I made it about halfway through, and then Undead suddenly were no longer able to be played, and then I made it maybe one chapter or so through, and my character got stuck in a disconnect loop. So.
Is that because they're doing? I feel like a lot of it it's because they're doing work on the models at the moment, aren't they?
Yes. So I think Undead and Worgen are the ones that you can't play right now, and it's because they're doing model work. Yeah, but it's been that way for 2 or 3 weeks now, I'd say, because I think Revendreth existed for like a week, and then it was like, oh, I can't log in today. All right.
Yeah, I think they're trying to fix a lot of the stuff with the models before they. It feels like it before they release another zone, because all we've seen from build after build is like a lot of the customization stuff that's coming into the game at the moment, which is brilliant.
Yeah, well, no, it looks fantastic. I'm all about those. I was impressed that we got Bastion and then Revendreth so quickly. So like the slowdown has been like, okay, well, you know, I want to see Maldraxxus, but at the same time, I haven't finished Revendreth, so like.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
rush.
I think the biggest thing I've personally seen from is some of the streamers that have gone and used Farsight to go and investigate some of the other zones and everything else like that. The biggest thing that I'm surprised of so far is that it's all on the same server shard. Like, I expected it to be very much how, you know, like Silver Moon and Outland exist on the Outland server. I expected them all to be on different servers, but as in different instance passings. But the fact that you can get from one to the other, it baffles me. It's.
I was surprised by that too. It's actually super neat. And you know, I was watching someone or other, and like they're located relative to one another, like where they are on the map too. It's not like, you know, Ardenweald is like just way north of Bastion. Like it's southwest on the map and it's southwest on the actual instance server. And it's kind of cool to see though. The one thing I saw showed Maldraxxus like miles below where Bastion actually sits, like on the server. So like it's crazy, but it's super cool.
That's one thing
It's
I enjoyed of Legion and BFA was like on the continents how you could literally go from one to the other. It made it feel more alive.
wasn't there as Frazley's camera breaks reality once again. Wasn't there something? I'm quite sure it was recently. I was having a discussion with someone in guild, and it was like someone actually managed to get from Coltiris to the Broken Shore. I wasn't sure if they actually managed because apparently they're in the
Oh,
same instant shard.
really?
Apparently, it's either that or they managed to get over the overlay on the map before Fatigue killed them.
That's
Like
interesting. I didn't know that. Uh,
I haven't
huh.
tested it out myself because when I'm in game, I'm obviously farming for my long boy fund. You see, so just like
There's no way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I've got a few friends who got it, and I'm just like, wow,
I don't
you
think
have.
it's going to happen. But if anything, it's going to give me the biggest gold fund that I've ever had. Like I'm already sitting at the most I've had since Mists. So
I'm very low right now. The urge to buy a token and just get gold with it has been growing. I've held off, but it's there.
yeah, I don't know about your servers, but the Zenithid market over here on the EU is at an all-time low. It's like 23 gold a piece at the moment. It's ridiculous. It was like 40 gold like about 3 weeks ago, but the market's just crashed out. Possibly because of all those multi-boxes that are just farming the hell out of Nazjatar. Yeah, but have you been up to anything in Warcraft this week? That's not the alpha?
Weirdly enough, I kind of use the expansion lull time to go back and do achievements. So the most I've really been doing is we're gonna need a bigger bag or whatever it's called from Timeless Isle. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you just it's pretty mindless activity. I like to do it in the background, and you just go around killing specific elites or waiting for stuff to spawn. So that's been the major one. This week I wasn't able to make it, but usually I have a weekly Mythic Plus night that we do, and that's kind of my go-to right now is the Mythic Plus runs. I'm really enjoying those. I always
I
enjoy those,
find
but
that they're a lot of fun. We've said this previously, is like I feel that with the change they've made to the way that the loot eye level drops in Mythic Plus this season, it's made wanting to go for those higher keys, a little, like those 15s up to
hmm
15, more entertaining rather than the loot eye level stopping at 10s and then 15 just being the best push for your box at the end of the week.
oh yeah, no, my group has definitely like had that choice where it's like, well, if we get A12 done, it bumps us up a tier, so let's just go for that. But yeah, no, I really love them, and running with the same group regularly, you get to kind
Oh
of
yeah, absolutely.
it's fantastic. Yeah.
It's chill fun times. Mr. Frasley,
Yes,
you have had an absolutely packed week of Warcraft stuff.
yes,
Specifically, you got together with quite a few streamers this past week and got on and did a community day.
yes. So I got on with Sai, uh, Demeternoth. I'm trying to think of who else. Cap.
You had the community craft, character craft boys there, didn't you?
Yes, Reagan Cuffy, and we all got on, and there was a podcast on Controversies of the World about is the community still alive? And wow, it's kind of after all the stuff that's been happening with like Mike Morheim and Ghostcrawler and Jay Allenbrack, and they were kind of in a discussion that the community is still alive and you can still do stuff. And one of the ones that came up is, can you still jump off cliffs like in Classic and BFA? So we said, hey, let's get people together, and we had a lot of fun. And we took Nagafogger elixir, and whoever got 3 falls in a row got him out. So one of the people got him out, and it was fun realizing that like we all connected from different podcasts, different streams, different communities. We all came together and just had a fun hour, and I really appreciated that. Because
That's really cool. I don't know what your name for it is, but my old guild it calls it lawn darts, where it's
I love it.
jumping off and you got to hit a specific spot. Um, Yeah.
I don't think it was that intensive. I think it was like jump off, drink noggin fogger. If you survive, you get a mark on the board.
Yeah.
No, ours. Yeah, the ones we would do is it's a guaranteed death. Like your corpse has to land near the spot. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I remember in Legion, I had a friend who would jump off the top of one of the towers in Dalaran to try to get into the well.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think there was like I don't know if it was a cannonball challenge, but there was someone who like they drank or used like an item that like you spun and through the air like a meteor almost, and they
Yeah.
did it from like the demon hunter, like where you enter their class hall, something like that, and you just see this orc like flying through the air, and they nailed it, perfect shot. It was
So
awesome.
good. Yeah, I love that meteor toy. It's there are so many toys that are just like really fun to play around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many different things and everything. But what else you been up to this week, Frazley? You've been getting on with a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, I got my gnome dwarf up to 120. I can't. Is that this week or last week?
No, you got that's this week. Yeah, that's
Okay.
this week.
And then I have started working on my Worgen Rogue, and I got that one up to 103.
I was watching your stream earlier on as you were doing like one of the rogue quests, and you were just getting absolutely destroyed in Stormwind.
Yes. Oh, the that one guard thing. Like, okay, I'm here. And all of a sudden, a guard out of nowhere comes near you, and it's like, no. So
You fall into the fallacy that I found during Legion while trying to level everything for Mage Tower of this class is new to me. I don't know what it does because it's like you've got a vanish button that would have saved you so many times.
Oh, I need to learn that class better. I feel like I finally learned priest and learned how to get a tell me when macro to work for the shield at 119. So I only had that for about one level, but it'll work when I'm in Shadowlands then.
Yeah, I mean, there'll always be something that I'll be able to help you out with your class, my dude. Just like I said, like ice block when you're cauterized and stuff like that. You know, just
Yes.
small things. But it's fun. You've had a lot of fun though. Like you've been up to quite a fair bit this week, haven't you?
Yeah, and I've definitely been enjoying like taking it's slow. I mean, doing the leveling, but nothing that's high pressure, and I'm just enjoying the game. I like exploring areas, and I've also done lore master. I am this close to finishing Terracar Forest,
Hey.
going after those old achievements because while the game there's so much to do if you want to do it. Like there's things that I don't ever want to do because I don't want to see the time. But there's a lot of things and toys. I was talking to somebody about how many toys I want to go back and get. I want to do pet battles. You can always find something to do in WoW.
You can get really sucked into those pet battles.
Yeah, I've got two friends who, whenever Squirt Day comes around, they're just in there.
Yeah.
I get really bored by Squirt Day. It's so inane to me. I don't understand it. Like, I went out and did pet leveling again just because I was rendering videos for like all day. So it was just like the easiest non like WoW's not graphically intensive at the best of times, but something that I could just sit there and do is go to my leveling spot in Pandaria that I abused during BlizzCon. I can't remember what year it was, and I just sat there just leveling characters through Pandaria in a little spot just off Half Hill because it's just surrounded by mobs and it's by the pet trainer, and you can literally just stand in one spot and just click a mob, fight it, and I think I got like 2 characters leveled to max level through pet battles and watching BlizzCon that weekend. It was...
Well, there was definitely at one point or another where I made the rounds of pet battles to level characters because, yeah.
It's just something we'll probably touch on later, but it's having alternate ways to level, and the fact that you can do it, and it gives you a fixed percentage per, battle that wins, plus you level pets as well, which is always good for the pet battle dungeons that exist in the game as well. But I haven't been up to that much this week. Frazley and I did pop into Torghast together because
Yes.
him being in the US and me being in the EU means that we don't really get a chance to play together. So both being in the alpha means that we get to take a look at it. And we both dived in there together. I want to say we had fun, but it more ended up by the fact that I was just running ahead of Frazley while he was trying to look at everything.
Yep. And well, I went and got all the jars and things that you were missing, so I just went in there.
Oh, like the destructible objects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, my grand scheme is because as Mitch said, we're in the end game of BFA right now. So all I've been doing is my mount farming, and I've got even more Paragon mounts this week. I'm down to 2 Legion Paragon mounts remaining now.
It totally slipped my mind that I could have been using that buff for Paragon, like Legion Paragon stuff. I probably still wouldn't have if I remembered from the beginning, because I'm very tired of those reputations, but I still don't have most, if not all, of those mounts, and I really want that Storm Drake.
So I've had the Storm Drake was the only one I had.
Really,
So
you're very lucky.
But in the time that we've had the reputation buff, I've got all 3 Army of the Light ones. I've got the Nightfallen one, and I literally just got the High Mountain one. So I'm still missing Dreamweavers and Valajar.
Okay.
But there's still another day or 2 before the buff runs out, and we
I think
get
it's like the
the
18th.
replacement one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done all my world quests down there today on my one character that's exalted, so I'm not doing any more. It's not like I'm farming it with like multiple characters. Like it's Army of the Light's the only one I did that with because I had that on multiple characters, and I only did it with like 2. So, it's one of those things that is very mind numbing to just go around and do world quests.
I was gonna say, if you were doing it on multiple characters, that is a very quick way to burn out, and
yeah,
I know that from every single year farming on Love Rocket.
Oh, tell me about it. That and any other holiday mount.
Yeah.
But I can successfully say that I finally got the Frightened Kodo from Darkshore, so I finally have every single mount from the Warfronts now.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Done
Damn,
with it.
I'm jealous.
Whew, it's I did try and do an evening of Camping ANX and Time Lost Proto Drake while I was doing more editing and rendering and everything else, but
I got so lucky with the Time Lost Proto Drake. You don't hate me, but it was one of those situations where, like, this was during Wrath. I just, I would check it every now and then, but one day I'd just like flown out of Dalaran and was like, just, kind of minding my own business, and I see it going by, and I'm like, holy shit, is that it? Is that it? And I flew toward it. But the funny thing was, I had just spec'd Discipline for like the first time all expansion, and didn't really know what I was doing. So I'm like, I'm in the wrong spec. If I die here, this will be the worst thing ever. So I was like panicking as I'm fighting it, and like hitting buttons and finding spells that weren't even on my bars yet. And but I managed to get it, and
The one thing I probably should have done as a mount collector is to have done a horde through Nazjatar, because the Nazjatar mounts work cross faction from Horde and Alliance, so they actually count on both sides.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
I should have done that, but because I've been in Nazjatar so much as well, I did get one of the rank 4s, I think, from Nazjatar Paragon. I can't remember if it's this week or last week, but
congrats.
but yeah, still no mount there. But like, I should have just done it. But it's just so much to do. Like, if you think about it, there's so much to do, and we've got the replacement buff, which I think if it's going to be there to help lower players get into stuff, I think it's going to be more visions per day, and I think it's going to be like a gradually stacking debuff to the visions to help lesser geared characters get their cloaks done. That's the only thing my mind can really put it at.
The buff I was hoping for, because I was trying to think of what other buffs they could provide in this downtime. I would love it if they added one that increased the amount of like transmog drops you got from farming old stuff.
Yeah.
I would farm the hell out of old instances if I knew that it was like double the drops or something like that.
If it affected the mounts as well, I'd go back and I'd do Dragon Soul weekly on 18 characters.
Oh boy!
Just buff those drops.
I remember that.
I'm still there. I'm still doing it.
Oh.
And I've got another bet with Frazley where I get to go and do full runs of Blackrock Foundry with my entire character set at max level and see if I can get the mount there, which is going to be like a 9.5
That's one I don't
string.
have yet. Oh god, Blackrock Foundry.
Yeah. It's there's so many mounts in the game that I still don't have. I find it entertaining that I have like about 470 on a single character, and it's probably one of the highest on the realm, but over the entirety of everybody that plays, I'm still like at least 100 behind the person who has the most.
I don't understand how people do it. Like
Luck. It's one thing I'd like to put it down to, but
yeah, luck and persistence. I,
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I had that time when every week it was like this character, this character, this character, all through the same instance, and then move on to the next instance and the same thing. But it's been a long time since I had that much
I mean,
motivation.
yeah, I mean, the biggest motivation I find myself to do is to do small farms. Like my Demon Hunter, which is my best geared character, I'll do what's my World Mount World Tour. So I'll go and do the 3 Mr. Pandaria bosses that I miss.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll go and do Rookmar and Blackrock Foundry because I've got the skip on Mythic. So I'll go and do those 2. Then I'll go and do Dragon Soul, and then, even though I've got all 3 skips in Nighthold, I'll see how I feel to go and do Nighthold, and I'll see how I feel if I want to go and do the Tomb of Sargeras farm and the dogs in Argus. But then I'll try to do at least 3 more characters, which does like the safe farm, which is. But it takes like half an hour, if that, to just do to do the quick cycle, because they've all got the skip. It's when it gets to Dragon Soul, that's like an extra 15 minutes on top.
That one, farming that one is such a pain.
Yes. Let's talk about something fun, kind of, that may or may not spark controversy.
It was, I think the community, all of them thought it was fun before the recent changes, and now 50-50.
I think it really depends. Right, so Torghast is a thing. Everybody knows what it's going to be. Blizzard has given it to everybody who's testing on alpha early as a way to turn around and go, this is going to be the big thing that's going to happen. This is going to be your bread and butter of the expansion, you know? But everybody's enjoyed it. They've enjoyed pushing as much as they can so far. But Blizzard have obviously... They don't want people to be only in there at the detriment of themselves. They don't want them to be in there for have 24-hour streams, because just in there on one character. So they've put in what they like to call a torment on higher floors, which is going to be... it's a stacking debuff, essentially, where it gives you more damage every, like, 60 seconds or so. But because of the way the echo chamber works, and because of the way YouTube algorithm works, and all it takes is one person to say it's a timer, has turned around, and then that's corroborated with a BlizzCon thing that says it's not going to be a timed run, because that's the thing people hated about Visions, is that you were forced to do it in a set time until you overgeared it and got better at it, and it's literally devolved into everybody thinking it's a timer, and now Blizzard going back on their word, and I think it's really weird. Personally, in my view, we should be waiting to see what the whole version of the tower is going to be available, so that the people who are on alpha or beta, if it gets to that stage, can test it and then see if it will be a problem. Because there's been more developer interviews with like Preach, and I think WoW Chakra had an interview as well this week.
Yeah.
And there's been stuff that's come out that says like there's going to be another version of the tower which you can endlessly run for cosmetics. We don't know what's going to be in that side of it, you know, and we know that there might be a cap on the legendary stuff. So for all we know, they might just be testing these abilities that might just be on bosses and just see how people react to it. But people have rightly gone and turned around and said, like, it feels like a timer, and because just the presence of the debuff exists, it makes me feel more wary about having to move. All legitimate concerns, but I don't know. I feel like we have to see the full thing before we can actually... And that includes, like, seeing what the entry cost to get into the tower is going to be. And then everyone who's there testing it can turn around and go, cool, if this is your final version of what we're going to see on live... This, I think, is what could make this better. This is what makes it feel worse. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm kind of the idea that right now we're running characters that are not fully geared up to like even max, and this is at this moment meant to be something at 60, and like we're going out on tunes that are brought up to 60. But we don't have the full stuff. I'm struggling on some of the higher floors, but that's because I'm not fully geared. I don't know fully into my class rotation I'm going through, and I'm wondering if it'll be less of a factor once we're getting into the stuff that's going to drop at high level.
I agree with the mentality that having the debuff present adds that sort of psychological pressure, even if it's not actually, like, if it doesn't really impact the run. Like, I do agree in principle, or in theory rather, that having that the psychological effect of feeling like there's something. I don't like that necessarily.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that Blizzard came out pretty quickly and clarified, like, no, these are meant to be like, okay, you're overstaying, you're welcome. Move on to the next floor. Like, I get what they're going for. I think maybe there are better ways to do it.
I think it is safe to say that a lot of this is because the way that Blizzard have been watching people play has been, especially on the later floors, is watching people stop to wait for their cooldowns rather than, this is a big mob that I should go for. I'll go and clear some other trash on the rest of the floor.
I've done that, yeah.
Back. So I mean, I'm not saying it's not a viable way to play, because it's the same way that people do things in Mythic Plus. Like the higher end, like 20 plus keys, if you watch on the MDI, they'll go and deal with another trash pack and just go around and kite stuff and wait for cooldowns and then blast the hell out of everything. But they'll obviously wait for stuff. But I'm not sure if this is because this is a different kind of power gain, or because it's something they want to make sure works for the length of the expansion, which is my worry when it comes to Torghast. I worry that it's going to be the way that Legion legendaries are going to be, in the fact, like, you're going to get lucky with stuff or you're not going to get lucky. Because we don't know I can't even remember how many legendaries were in the pool in the base Legion.
Oh.
20, 25?
Yeah, it was a pretty big number, and like you weren't guaranteed to get the good ones. Like you would get the ones that it was in like Safuza's Secret that was not the.
Well, there were Safuz and Pridaz at the start of the expansion were horrible, and people who got those felt like they missed out, and then they got buffed, and kind of toward the end of the expansion,
they were monsters for Mythic
really
Plus
good.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. But there, it does come down to that where. I don't know. Even ignoring legendaries, I think Torghast is something that should last, and they should make it that. But the idea of, oh no, players shouldn't spend 24 hours in here. I agree that they shouldn't spend 24 hours in there if 19 of those hours are waiting for cooldowns to come back. But like at the same time, I don't necessarily think Blizz needs to save players from themselves in that regard. Like, I think if someone's gonna go into Torghast and just do runs nonstop, like, why not? People PvP all day, people pet battle all day. Like,
I think the game. I think in terms of Torghast, it will be fine if there are caps on the main progression system.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just like they've already turned around, like this is information that came from BlizzCon. It may change. I mean, we haven't heard anything to differ yet because we haven't seen any of the other systems at max level because we haven't had the opportunity to see that yet. But they've already said that there's going to be a cap on anima, which is going to be the big resource that we gather over the course of all the events that we do, dungeons, world quests, main story quests, and everything else. There'll be a cap per week on that. Yay! World quests. Mission boards and everything else.
I think the one saving grace on that is, at least as what they said, alts can start earning that anima at 50.
There's several good things that can happen. Like once you've finished the main thing and chosen your covenant, I believe it's that point, and not once you finish the main covenant story for a character, that alts can pick a covenant to begin with. Once they start leveling through Shadowlands, they can get anima that way, and they can start building up already. fantastic, good change, benefits alts. It's not a horrible system. If you're gonna level, you're probably gonna be there quickly anyway. I think it's gonna be very much like how Azerite power it works currently with the neck. You'll get the neck, you'll get minimal, and then at max level you'll just hit that massive boost anyway. And everything opens up. So I don't think you'll be getting massive anima gains, especially if there's a cap on a weekly thing. But when it comes to the tower, if they put a cap on the legendary items and the boss loot and like any of the placeholder loot, like the weapons and stuff you can get that you can take out of the tower from, like, I think it's the Kyrian quest, the Kyrian people you can save. The random thing they drop is like you get a weapon, and all I get is 9.0 placeholder loot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I think everybody's looking at the fact that the legendary system is what we're going into Torghast for, but they forget that the bosses drop loot, and we don't even know what item level that stuff's going to be yet.
Yeah, because it's still placeholder.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know if it's going to be comparable to dungeons, comparable to Mythic Plus of some description. Like, does it scale with what level you tackle a boss on yet? Like, there's a lot of stuff in Torghast. I mean, I don't even think all 13, 12, 13, 14 classes are available to do Torghast yet, are they?
I don't think so.
No, I think we're getting close, but I think we're a few away still.
Like, that shows how early in alpha we still are. I think alpha's only been live for 2 months.
I don't even know if it's been that long. Maybe a month and a half.
It started right around the beginning of that unnamed thing that's happening across the world.
You're not wrong, actually. Yes, that is actually very true, because that happens shortly after that. But yeah, that shows, like, there's only 2 zones available for leveling in. The end game stuff for Covenants isn't in game yet. Like, there's so much in Torghast that needs to get in. It's brilliant that this stuff is here to test, but until we can see everything that's available, and until we can turn around and go, right, Blizzard, this is cool that we can see that this is what you want it to be. X doesn't feel fun. Y does feel fun. Mm-hmm. Z is a problem.
Yeah, and that was one of the things they put in the forum post when people were kind of freaking out about the new changes. I appreciated that as politely as they could. They're like, here's what you should do. Test it, and then give feedback. Don't like,
listen to the echo
like
chamber.
We've seen emotional feedback, but please test it.
Yeah.
Which is fair and totally makes sense. Like, thinking about Torghast, for my playstyle, I am going to be one of those people that goes in and I don't really care about the weekly loot, like, as far as power gains. I'm going to be, if there ends up being a free version, that's the one I'll spend most of my time in. I love cosmetic rewards. Like, I am all for them. So that's kind of where my mind goes with that, is that I don't really care how they balance it around the power gains. I want them to make Torghast a fun experience that I can just go into and say, I want to push this as far as possible. Maybe I get a cosmetic reward out of it, maybe not, but I'm not looking to expand my character's power. And with the new debuffs, which again have been kind of hit and miss in terms of runs that I've done personally. I haven't done a ton, but I think if they really want that, like, gentle nudge aspect, which is, I think, it's close to how they described it, like, you've been here too long, time to move on. I would rather they just look at the abilities people are waiting to have cooldown and say either, all right, you get this once per floor, or you get X charges per floor, or you just, I mean, like arenas or something, you just can't use this ability, which I don't really want them to do that. I don't want them to go that far, but I think there's better ways.
I mean, I'm not sure if you've got anything that you've seen, Frazley. Like, the only thing I've seen so far of someone say, I believe it was on Twitter in response to Preacher's video, they turned around and said, like, as someone who only has 1 to 2 hours to play per day, I don't want to feel rushed if I go into Torghast to do it. And that's fine. That's a logistical complaint. You know, like if they don't want to feel rushed to do it, I get it, and I can see that in the back of their mind they feel like they've got a timer. But to my knowledge, this torment debuff has only really hit in like floor 18 plus, which is pretty much meant to be the, from what I understand, going to be the hard cap for progression in the tower. Like that's after your third boss, like floor 18, like because we're getting a boss every 6 floors now is what I've noticed after doing a playthrough today.
Oh, okay.
So like 3 bosses, and I mean I think by getting to floor 12 I was in there for 40 minutes on my own because I was wandering around. The only thing it's fun. I don't mind it as a debuff, but it's very restrictive. There's a debuff that I got hit with immediately on floor 1 that is done because of I can't remember what they're called, but they're like tower guards.
Is it the sentinels, the one that
the
slows
tower
your
sentinels
movement and your haste
and reduces your haste?
Oh my god, yeah. I have a story, but
Yeah, go ahead.
No, continue yours. I'll tell mine after.
But yeah, I got hit by this immediately on floor 1. Like the minute I got in there, and I thought, okay, is this what everybody's been talking about? Because I know a lot of people have been talking about a movement reduction thing. I thought it was the torment thing because it was just a new debuff that I hadn't seen, and then it was just like a powerful tower sentinel guards this floor. Okay, that's fine. Found it, killed it. The debuff went away until I got another 5 meters forward, and there's 2 more just up there, and I'm just hit by the debuff, and automatically I'm slowed. That sort of shit, the movement speed, I can get, but don't reduce my haste as well if I have to deal, if their aura radius is so large that they're covering each other.
Yeah, I had pretty much the same experience where I walked in, and that's kind of what I went through the same thought, like, oh, this is the torment debuff. And then I saw like 2 sitting, or standing right in front of me. I take them out very slowly because I'm a shadow priest, and they took away most of my haste. And it was annoying, but I dealt with it. What was more annoying was at the very end, there were 3 in the like scenery portions of Torghast that you can't actually get to.
That was something I felt as well. It was horrible.
I'm sure that kind of thing's going to get fixed, where like they're not going to have it so you can't attack those. But that was annoying because I was pretty much RP walking for half of that floor, and it was floor 1. Like I started out and I had like 3 or 4 sentinels that I could kill, and then another 3 that I could not, and they all overlapped at the end
because their auras are just so large.
Yeah. But I did have a run that started out with the actual the one that burns like a percentage of your health every 5 seconds. Like that started out
earlier on in the week. Yeah, no, I had that earlier on in the week. I think I just did like when this big discussion about torment started. I think I just literally jumped on there, but I didn't get it affected that much because a lot of the time when you're out of combat, you're regenning that health anyway. And I mean, the run I did today was absolutely ridiculous. I think by the time I got to floor 11, I had 180k health. I had 500% boost on immolation aura.
It gets ridiculous by the end.
It's so much fun.
But yeah,
it's so much fun. I was just walking around with immolation aura, and just things were just popping. The new thing I investigated on was like there's these new cauldrons, I think this today with like the Venthyr in there, and they just spawning skeletons, and if they touch you they just explode and do damage. But they just pop, they make a really loud pop sound, and it's so fun just to listen to it. And it's just there's so much fun in Torghast. I cannot stress how much fun it is.
Yeah, like I've enjoyed getting I'm the priest. Like I got the power word fortitude buffs, and I think at one point we were up to like
45%.
Yeah,
we got 45% on a stamina.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. It's so fun. Again, even if the debuffs that they're adding aren't that bad in practice, like they do need adjusting. And for me, I would I think I would take them out of the free version.
Yeah.
I definitely don't think they should start on floor 1. Like they should kick in much later. And I think ultimately, if you don't want that pressure, which I think a lot of people, there is something to be said of the psychological effect of just having a debuff on you. I would be more for limiting specific abilities to like 1 use per floor or something like that.
I think that's the better way to go.
I have one other thing I've been thinking on about this. When I've been doing Torghast, I've been clearing every floor, and also when we were playing, I accidentally stayed down on the floor. I thought you went back and you went up the floor. I think if your party goes above, then you should be warned to go. But also because of how about how it moves, I say if you get to the end boss, maybe there it's like, hey, you really shouldn't go back. Once you beat once you get to the end boss before the portal, if they want to keep you moving forward.
Oh, so like you kill the end boss and then those torments kick in, kind of deal.
Because then it's not so much psychological, but it's more they don't want it to go on, but it's not there. It's not encroaching on you the whole level. Make it where your choice of where do you go in Torghast matters.
I could see that being better. I don't know if that'd be my like first choice, just because it is nice to sometimes go back and just see what you missed.
Yeah, I think there might be something that's too much to like add to the sidebar of everything that Torghast is tracking. But even if they just had I guarantee you, if they put a bonus objective, which was a progression bar for clearing everything on the floor, people would just go ahead and just clear everything on the floor because it's a bonus objective. Like even if only the reward was like a minimal amount of freed souls, because in terms of power progression in the long sense of the game, like freed souls will go towards
intellect.
Well, they go towards your buff, which can guarantee that ups your main stat percentage per thing. But then you've also got the stuff which can affect your soul binds, because that's the other thing you'll get in Torghast down the line as well. That will, and as we all know, people will look to certain people, like the top 1% of those people that do bleeding edge mythics and everything else. They'll look for the fastest gain to get the best power they can. And I mean, Mitch has already spoken about the way he plays, and Frazley, we know how you play the game.
Yeah.
I play the game to be ready for raiding, for heroic raiding, and I'll go to do the best. So if they turn around and go in the main version of Torghast that I'll have a limited supply of legendary components, but boss loot will drop, and boss loot will be the best single player loot I can get without having to go into Mythic Plus and dungeons and everything else, I'll probably do that. A lot of people will probably do that. And if they can push to higher floors as a group, a lot of people will probably do that.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, once I'm done with that patch, I'll probably absolutely go ham on cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, no, I definitely would be, I'd make sure to get in my like 1 or 2 runs or whatever it takes to get like, I'm going to call them the Valor points, like just to hit my weekly Valor cap, and then I'll go to the free version. Because I still want those, but I also don't want it to feel like I can run it endlessly for rewards. I want to feel like I can run it endlessly for my own, challenge and interest.
I'll tell you one thing that I was investigating using the tower was using the Venfear Covenant abilities today.
Yeah, so that's another thing with the recent patch. For anyone who hasn't been keeping up, they're rotating the Covenant ability. So every day, it started out 2 or 3 days ago it was Night Fae. Then I think a day or 2 ago it was the Maldraxxus, and today it's the Venthir one. So they're just doing kind of every day, which is nice.
The Venthir one overall is the one that everybody gets is the shield, and it's a 2-minute cooldown, and it gives you a shield for 2 minutes. It's a 4-second channel.
I think that's the Maldraxxus one.
Oh, it's Maldraxxus.
The Venthir one is the one where you like teleport forward or something.
Okay, no, then it's Maldraxxus today. Then that's my bad. Okay, so the shield. Now the shield is affected by your health pool, and if you activate the ability next to a mob, then the shield can get up to 50% of your health.
Mm-hmm.
So there I am with 180k health on floor 11, and I have an extra 90k shield.
I had
some of those abilities. some of those abilities are wicked busted. But it took me, I think it took me about 8-9 floors to work out the secondary ability of for the demon hunter, that is, where you summon like to fight a mob, and then if you're in the pool you get an extra damage, and if the other monsters you're fighting, I just thought it was just like summon it, beat it, get a buff, and I was trying to work it out until I read the ability that it left a pool on the floor when you beat it.
Oh,
So I'm like,
interesting.
yeah, it's like a pool. The pool doesn't even stay there that long. I think it's like 10 seconds. But I'm like, okay, so I need to, if I really want to make the best use of this, I need to get a massive stack of mobs to come to me, summon this thing, kill it, and then use a 10-second floor buff for an extra 20% damage. And I'm like,
It's the priest one for Maldraxxus is not that complicated at all. It's just an instant cast AoE that puts a shadow dot on everything, and while that dot is active, damage you do heals you. So it's
that's real cool.
It's really cool. Like I saw the first time I saw that, I was like, this feels like Vampiric Embrace crossed with Vampiric Touch almost. And I kind of wish it were baseline.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we'll probably see if these work really well with X classes. They'll probably get rolled into the class in the next expansion.
Yeah,
but...
well, because it feels to me a little like the old VE, where you would put it on a target.
Yes.
And then, because now it's just the like 2 or 3 minute cooldown where like all damage you do causes one person to be healed. But the Maldraxxus Covenant ability, after playing around with it, like I've been kind of torn between Maldraxxus and Venthyr, but playing around with it, it's really cool and it's fun. And that shield is, because it lasts 2 minutes if it doesn't get eaten through, and the ability is a 2-minute cooldown. So effectively, like, especially while soloing,
that shield is disgusting.
Yeah,
like
it's probably gonna get nerfed.
That shield alone, like I was looking at the abilities that Blizzard gave us. I was looking at Night Fae, but for my Demon Hunter, but like based on that shield alone and being able to use that shield, I'm like,
that shield, it's probably gonna get nerfed, but it's a
it has to. Like at this point,
it's a baseline 20%, and then goes up to that 50%.
Up to 50%.
And I can see tanks just abusing the hell out of that at some point in the expansion.
Imagine any boss fight which has ads.
Yeah.
Like you kill the ad and you're in the middle of a tank swap, but you have a 4-second in between thing. The tank goes over, eats the mob, and then goes and tanks the boss with an extra 50% shield on top.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's gonna get nerfed, I'm sure, but I have been enjoying that. But I do like that Blizzard has been rotating them in and out, because
it allows you to play with them. That's the best.
Because reading those, you can read them and see that whole blog post and like, okay, that sounds cool, but like actually playing with them is a much different
absolutely
kind of thing.
Like, I'm probably going to go back and do some Torghast after we're done today, like, because I had a game-breaking bug, broke my run. So, for those of you that have Alpha, we obviously do it in certain ways. We stream it on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, whatever you want to do it on. I've taken the opportunity today to start streaming it with my guild through Discord and letting them have like what I'm going to probably do down the line is like a choose your own adventure, where once more classes are into Torghast, they can actually see how stuff will work with it, and then they can choose the anima powers that I'll use, and I'll get mangled in many different ways.
I saw
brilliant.
I was watching Mephisto.
Mephisto does it, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a cool idea.
It's a very cool idea. Like, off topic, Mephisto's come up with some grand ideas, I think, of many people who are on Alpha, and they'll, like, speed run, like, Torghast and see how far they can get up the tower. Obviously, that's probably going to change depending on where it is and what state of Alpha at this point, but, yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. But, so, I got to floor 12. I was on the second boss, and I just bought an anima power from the vendor because my priest friend from my Discord was like, I was teaching about all the different things you can buy from the vendor, and like how they've changed it now that if you use the orb on the vendor, while you'll get the 500 Phantasma refunded to you, like you can't, if you find, because they've given vendors names now, if you were going to find that vendor later in the tower, he won't be there because you've eaten him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the first time I got that one, I think we're talking about the same one, where you non-elite creature.
Yes.
You click it,
Yeah.
and it becomes an anima power, basically.
Yeah.
The first time I got that, I bought it from the vendor, and I opened my inventory, and I'm like, oh, this is cool, and I like click it, not remembering that I still had the vendor targeted, and I was like, he just poofed away and was an anima power. I was like, oh.
So I was showing Frazley that
Sorry,
you
guy.
could do that. I was showing Frazley that you could do that last week because he didn't know.
I didn't know about that.
And he's
Yeah.
just like, oh. So every time we got to a floor with a vendor, I turned around to Frazley and went, have you bought everything you want from this vendor? And he's gone, yes. And I went, poof.
I was like, yeah, money back.
You feel real bad for the vendors because they're like, oh, we've taken all your money. Oh, I've given you all your money back.
It's like I stealing from them. Like, okay, now I've got all the stuff.
Yeah.
But, so I bought the orb where you throw it on the floor and you get a random anima power.
Mm-hmm.
So I clicked on the anima power. We decided that I was going to get like a 50% boost to Blade Dance. Nothing brilliant, just a stacking thing that happens over the course of it. Clicked the anima power and my game just disconnected. Completely and utterly. Managed to log back in, absolutely fine. It was just it happens, you know? But the anima powerball is still there in front of me, but I haven't got the bar at the bottom of my screen to say, you've got an anima power available, and I can't interact with the orb. So I'm like, well, okay, this is a bust. Fuck it, I'll go kill the boss. It's right there. There's nothing else to do at the moment. Killed the boss, no problem. I'm a demon hunter. At floor 12, I've got a 4-minute, I think I got it reduced to like 3 minutes of metamorphosis, and with an 85% cooldown on I-beam with meta. So I'm literally I-beaming, blade dancing, I-beaming, blade dancing, I-beam. It's hilarious. I think 3 or 4 I-beams, the boss is dead. It's ridiculously crazy. And there's an anima power at the gate. Go to hit it before I go up to the next floor. You can't interact with that because you've got another anima power pending. Okay, I'll try to reload my UI. Hopefully the bar will come back. Nope. So, okay, my next step is I'll report this as a bug. Disconnected. Can't interact with anima power on my floor. Go to the next level. Look for an anima power, thinking it's fine, because you get a big warning when you go to a level saying, are you sure you want to progress? There's anima power still available to you. Yes, because I've got nothing else I can do. I can't interact with it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Go up a floor. It's nothing but traps. There's like, the game has just thrown like maybe some fire spike traps at me throughout the whole run. All of a sudden, there's, on floor 13, there's the fire pillars. There's the sensitive bars which throw stuff down. There was a long gangway with all of these traps and about 6 of the guillotines swinging across with mini-inch gaps. It was horrible. And I finally get to the other end, find a jar which has an anima power. You can't use this anima power, you've still got stuff. So that's my run, entirely busted.
Oh.
Jumped off the edge to see if that would reset it. Nope. Opened up another bug report, can't do anything. My run's in the bin. So
that's another I mean, that kind of stuff will get fixed, but that's another reason we need free modes, is disconnects can be such a pain.
Oh yeah.
They're so punishing.
And like they're still in visions. Like I'm thankful not had to add a disconnect in a vision, but I know people who have gotten disconnected in a vision, and that throws out their vessel.
Oh yeah, no, it's awful. So again, that free version is the one I'm really looking forward to. I haven't had like too many combos as I've seen people have really fun combos with the anima powers. I feel like priests have some cool ones, but
Marat, that's my favorite spell of all.
A lot of people like Marat.
The Marat one is a good one for priests, but I haven't seen too many like that really affects necessarily the spells I'm using, or like you get overpowered no matter what. Like I'm not complaining about that. It's crazy how strong and fun it can be as you keep going. But some of the like, I haven't seen anything equivalent of like mages blinking and destroying things as they're blinking and like only blinking.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I did actually, I have a run up still that I'm like making sure I don't go AFK on, because I got the Malrat harness, which gives you them. You're basically, you can mount inside Torghast.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't realize until today. There's also one that doesn't dismount it in combat. So
is that the horse?
No.
Or is that another version of the rat harness?
It's the rat. I think it's once you have the rat harness, you unlock another anima power that says the rat doesn't go away when
Oh,
you're in combat. So right now, I'm able to essentially cast while moving because I'm on this. It's like
that's insane.
it's like the rats in the new Karazhan. Like
Yes, yeah, I
whenever
know
you're
the
using
ones. Yep,
string
yep,
stat, how
yep,
you
yep.
can cast and move. So right now I'm just running around and like because I have mind flay, things are slowed down where I'm running at like 100%
Yeah,
speed. And I'm like, hey, you can't catch me. Um, and that one so far that's been my favorite thing to discover because casting while moving at an increased speed is just it's amazing.
Yeah.
that's bonkers, man. No, like I think it's because a Demon Hunter's toolkit is still relatively new. There's not a lot of big stuff we can get right now.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I have been playing with is so Bay Final Boss put up his first pass at like classes.
Hmm.
So I had a look at the Havoc, and I've decided to try the Momentum build because I want to get better. Because I switched to Demon Hunter as a main halfway through BFA
Demon
when I
Hunters are
came.
so fun. I
Oh, they're
I don't
so much
blame you.
fun. They're such because I tried Monk and Monk was fine, but then having everything limited to your touch of death like
Hmm.
window is it just gets a bit boring. So, but like Demon Hunters are like people were like, yeah, but you're stuck to your I beam. You're stuck to like your oh my god meta. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, no, because every time if I use demonic, every time I beam, I'm in that phase and I get quite a few buffs if I've got the right Azerite traits, and everything feels more fun to play because instead of standing in one spot and all I'm seeing is order, I actually fly around the whole screen,
Yeah.
you know? And momentum used to like back in Legion, momentum was the thing that you did if you were good at your class because you got the damage buffs and you were good
I
at
remember there was a whole, and I kind of miss that because it was the very like high skill cap build, but there was like a like triangle diagram of you're supposed to like fell rush in, vengeful retreat out, fell rush this way, and like there's I'm think if I'm thinking of
I
the right
don't even
build,
remember seeing that one,
it was
Jesus. But
yeah no it was crazy because you would get a buff every time you like fell rushed or vengeful retreated, so you wanted to like get the right yeah position.
so yeah, so I haven't really seen much which buffs like Fell Rush other than the fact like when you use Fell Rush you get 100% move speed for like X seconds, which is good, but it's limited. So
Hmm.
you're stuck to your charges. Then there's stuff like your Fell Rush only has a second cooldown for like the next minute and a half. Really fun if you want to build momentum because fun fact, momentum even though it has a 4 second cooldown as the buff, it actually adds time on every time you use Fell Rush.
Oh, okay.
So it actually stacks up the time for your momentum debuff, damage buff, which is 15% to everything. But like there's stuff like Fell Rush does 800% extra damage, but if you don't hit an enemy with it, then you take 15% like health damage.
And stuff like that. Like I feel like there are some really experimental
Yeah.
anima powers that I kind of want Blizz to just go like fuck it. We're just doing this like all over the place.
I feel it's really the best place for Blizzard to experiment with what they want to do.
Yeah,
Like
there's a new one that is it's not even like overpowered or anything. It's just hilarious and it's kind of like all right, the developers are really having fun with this where like you can turn things into inanimate objects. So like you'll kill
I
something
saw
or
that.
it will just turn into like a shoe or a chair and you just have random stuff all over Torghast and it's just
wasn't wasn't
hilarious.
wasn't that the go-to caster one if you wanted to push Torghast? I think on like day one when they implemented it, because all I would see around the internet on Reddit and Twitter and everything else was just clips of people killing the Tarot crew with like turning it into a chair, and I'm like,
It's
well, GG, I've won.
yeah,
Like,
it's hilarious and I don't know when exactly it was added, but that's the kind of thing that is like yes, please go crazy with stupid shit like this that's just fun but also like can be overpowered, but yeah.
I think it's if they can find the best way to make a class fun by experimenting with the Torghast powers, I
Hmm.
think that's the biggest thing that like you're always going to have people in raids and everything else that will turn around and they'll want to play the flavor of the month.
Yeah.
You know, they'll want to play the best thing, especially in PvP, because that's what you need to do if you want to get your percentage titles and mounts and everything else. Get it, absolutely do. But if the class is fun to play, I think 100% of the time you get round a lot of the problems with it being lower damage wise.
Yeah.
like a monk's really good if you want to punch things. You know, it actually has high damage for very low input, and a lot of people turn around and say, "Oh, demon hunter's really low skill effort," and I'm like, well,
Are they
yeah, but you've still got to push your buttons in the right order, just like any other class. You know,
Yeah.
like I've still got before I enter combat, still got to hit my fell immolation 2 seconds before we pulled, so I've got stuff to actually be able to eye beam and then blade dance and then meta and then follow a right rotation so I get the right amount of blade dances in. I've got to still do things in a specific order to do things, you know, just like every other class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really finding that once I'm learning classes better, I'm enjoying them even better. And once I start learning the secret to the classes, like Rogue, I'm starting to like again.
Well,
Priest,
it's because you get all of these anima powers that, like, one on its own is strong, but two, it's like, okay, now it's a little stronger, and then you get the third one that interacts with both of those,
yeah,
and you're like,
Well,
okay, what
yeah.
can I do now?
I mean, this is the thing. Like, I really wish I streamed the run because I'd have had it up on the other screen while we're talking about this. But I had like 5 stacks of Immolation Aura does 100% extra damage. So Immolation Aura is doing 500% bonus damage. It's ticking for 1,000. So the entry damage is like 8k because it does that big burst damage when you pop
Yeah.
it. It ticks for 1,000. It crits for 2.5. And then I've got the other anima power, which is every time I deal damage with something that's not immolation aura, it refreshes the buff. So I've got that, and then it's like immolation aura buffs Chaos Strike damage by 50% and changes Chaos Strike's damage to fire. And I'm like,
All right, let's just go crazy.
yeah.
exactly. And I've got the talent, as I said, because of Final Boss's video to try the momentum spec. They've changed there's I think it's Essence Strike on live right now, where if you hit one, it hits one target and it buffs your Blade Dance and Chaos Strike damage. They've changed that to a frontal cleave in Shadowlands, so everything in front of you gets it. So you're then dealing extra damage with Blade Dance to everything that's there, and your Chaos Strike damage buffed as well. And it's insane. You can really pull off like there are some real cool combos, but eventually you get to the point of, well, I want to play something else, and that's where I think because the Demon Hunter toolbox is smaller compared to like every other class that's in the game, even monks and monks and Death Knights, that they're going to be very limited to what they do. So the fun they can have, I'm going to absolutely have a ton of fun walking through there as a literally living bomb, walking through there. But I feel like there'll be more fun to have from other classes with wider kits. Like, yeah, it's all right. I think priests get a mind control where they can use it on something and they don't have to have mind control channel and they just walk around with an extra buddy.
I'm pretty sure you're right there. That might not necessarily be a shadow thing. That might be one of the discipline ones. I don't know for sure there. That used to be an old talent though in Legion.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely.
but I know there is one for shadow where it extends the duration of mind control by, I think right now it says 30,000 seconds. It means 30 seconds. Um, but you can keep getting that one, and you can eventually get like a 5-minute mind control. And then you can
Oh
get
right,
you
so it
can
stacks. That's cool.
yeah, exactly. And then you can get other ones where it's like you can mind control undead characters now instead of just humanoids, beasts, and whatever the other ones are. Um, so you can get that, and potentially with that, the one you were talking about, where you don't have to be channeling it, like you could have a long duration pet of like any kind, and that's the thing. That's the really cool thing, is seeing all of the anima powers interacting and just what
I think
they stack up to, and half the time you don't even know what's happening because you haven't kept track of everything. But yeah.
I think there will definitely be I think there will definitely be sites which turn around and go, "This is the build you want to go for if you're going to Torghast."
Hmm.
You know, because I think there will definitely be when we get to the end point where we're in beta and we're like a week from like going live.
Yeah.
I think there'll be people who have tested the Torghast enough to be like, well, this is the thing that you're going to need, and that's fine. Like, it's all good, but sometimes it's all well and good to be like, well, I could just be a walking nuclear bomb, or I could have fun.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's the same. If anyone's played Diablo 3, it's the same
yeah,
thing of I'm pushing rifts, and there's the point when you're like, I love this build, I'm having so much fun with this, and then you like go online and you see like, oh, the optimal build for pushing rifts is totally different, and you need this gear and this gear, and like it works because everything kind of all meshes together. But you're playing a totally different way. It feels like that with Torghast, where you're gonna have that specific set of abilities that you want to interact with things if you're pushing, but you can also go your own route and just do some crazy shit on your own.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I discovered while doing the party with Frazley that I'd like them to implement. Like, if you're in a party, if someone does go on to the next floor while somebody's still behind, just trying to catch up because they're not a demon hunter that can move at 20 miles a second.
Yes, or if you tell me that you're gonna go back, or I think you're gonna go back, and you like you're going on, and I'm like, oh,
The funniest thing I had when I did it with Frazley is that like I'm so far ahead I've already cleared the thing on the floor and he's back off just clearing off like pots in another room.
yeah.
That I've just left because
So what actually does happen if one person tries to go through the portal at the end?
nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
So you have to wait for everybody to go through at once. Basically?
No. I have the access to go forward.
He was already up there and like getting Phantasma, and I'm actually missed on Phantasma because I wasn't up there because
because he wasn't.
So okay, so if someone tries to go through the portal to the next floor, what happens?
So Frazley was off. I've cleared the floor ahead of Frazley.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone up to the next floor, and I've probably not mentioned it to Frazley properly because he's still like trying to play catch up because he was on his dwarf priest, and you know what dwarves are—they've got stubbly legs. They've got to try and catch up. But because he didn't realize that I'd gone up to the next floor, I've already started clearing. Thing is, like, only around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've mentioned that I've just gone back to the start to wait for him, and he thinks I'm on the previous level, and I've gone back to the start to look for him.
Okay, so you can just go to a different floor. I was thinking it would like pull the whole party.
No.
Kind of like when someone like in a dungeon, when someone hits that cutscene point, everybody gets teleported to it.
Well, this is where I think that Blizzard could implement a lot of like pop-ups to say like a member of your party has progressed to the next floor on Torghast.
Yeah. Because that feels,
You know?
again, because he wasn't getting the
Phantasma, yeah.
Yeah. And you weren't getting souls or whatever shit too. Like, yeah, I've only run it solo, so I don't have that group experience. But I definitely think that's something that should be like, does the whole party want to move on, or something like that?
Well, I feel like I think there's very much a different way the game is scaling compared to say a Vision, in the fact that I don't think it scales to like 150%. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was 150% per person in a Vision. It definitely does not scale that much. In fact, I think they've even tuned the scaling down, because I'm finding it much easier this week than I was when I tried it like in a previous week on my own. Okay. So if everything feels like it's dying so much faster without anima powers, I had no problems on level.
Yeah, I have noticed that my runs have felt a little easier, especially early on. But they changed it so there's not like easy, normal, and heroic or whatever it was.
That is true. Yeah, I got that. So.
And did I hear right from Dust Mephisto that every so many levels it resets your anima powers?
No, I haven't come across that yet.
Okay.
I think there are currently, I believe what Mephisto is going for is that instead of easy, normal, and hard, there is one of the portals you can jump to, which is like base level 14 and level like 28 or whatever. But if you go into those, it's the same as doing easy, normal, and hard, where you're going in at that level without any anima powers. But again, I think that's just testing out the scaling of the floor. Rather than we'll be able to jump in at a higher level without anima powers. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Okay.
At all.
If it is, you're just hurting yourself there, because
you're just going to come down to gear scaling at the end of it. Like, it's going to be an option that you can start later, maybe for better rewards if they choose to put it in, but you're going to be either party restricted or gear restricted.
Yeah, because like I struggle on anything above easy and difficult. I've not been on this week, so I don't know. I've not tested yet all these changes, but I kept like dying on the first floor.
I tried one of the ones. I think it was the middle one, and it was like the first poll was just like 2 regular mobs, and I'm like, I am not gonna make it through this floor at all. Yeah, you need those anima powers at the higher floors. And again, I think the scaling has gone back a little bit now. But even still, like,
I think this it comes down to something we mentioned earlier, where there's going to be multiple different ways that people play. Like literally everybody that's in alpha right now, in terms of content creators, have infinitely more time to play the alpha than your average general player.
mhm.
Especially with lockdown and everything else. I mean, everybody's got a bit more time to do things.
Yeah.
But if we're back to a normal state of affairs where people are going to be going to work and then coming down and, having only a couple of hours to play before routine chores or food and everything else comes into it, there's people are gonna play. The people that go to work and don't rely on their online stuff as part of their income, they're not gonna have the large amount to play that content creators do, and I think sometimes a lot of content creators do take that for granted in the fact that they can be in there for a longer time
Yeah.
and test these things.
I mean, I haven't had a ton of time to test Torghast. Like the testing I've done has been like, if it's not interrupted by disconnects, like an hour or two, just seeing how far I can push.
Yeah, and like I need to go back in more, but like I've been distracted by WoW and also about in Witcher 3. So I mean I've been
Yeah. I mean, it's a sense of priorities, I think, as well. Like, I'm sure when it's live, a lot of us will spend a lot of our time in Torghast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, as it is right now, we're still juggling retail WoW with Alpha. Some people are juggling that with Classic as well. And then in case you don't want to die of Warcraft brain death, we're all playing other games as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, I think we're coming up to. I think we've massively overrun today. But I'm gonna go around the room and I'm just gonna ask one question of what you'd like to see added to Torghast in a later patch. Personally, with the way that it is right now. So as it is right now, we get boosted to 60, but our characters can still gain XP. So I'm hoping that just like Covenants have been able to gain anima power, that alts we can use Torghast as an alternate leveling system. Because the system exists in alpha, I don't see why they can't put a version of that into the live version where we're able to use Torghast as an alternate leveling tool.
I'm with you on that. Like I would, again, I told you maybe in the pre-show, but that was the Final Fantasy 14 equivalent was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
When Torghast was announced back at BlizzCon, and I think it would be a great way to level alts. If you have already gotten there, because obviously a brand new player is not going to go in and like get all these powers and then be like, wait, where'd they go?
Yeah.
But it is a great system, and I think it could be tuned that way. I would love to see Blizzard just go wild with the anima powers. Like I really want to see them explore that more, and they're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see them really, even if it means cutting some before release. I want to see because it's alpha. I want to see them go, all right, like what crazy shit can we give these players that they can just go wild with.
The one crazy shit anima power I've seen so far, which is not implemented because it says not yet implemented, but it's the plus 3% to all stats, and I could have had at least 2 stacks of that today.
Oh.
Yeah, that is batch. It's grey, so it's like a common one, but it doesn't feel common. It feels batshit insane if you can get a massive stack of that.
Yeah. that would be a fun one. I had a combo at one of my runs where it was the like frostbite one where it does 50% damage to something, but then if it doesn't die within a certain amount of time, it recovers that. But I had that combined with another one that's limited.
I did have that.
It's
Yeah.
limited to, you get to use it on 3 elites and then it's like gone or something. But it also does an initial burst of 50% of their health. And I had this toward the end of the run, and this was like a build or two ago, but I basically one-shot the last boss because I had double 50% damage buffs, and I'm like, here's the smallest spell I can cast, and then it just blew up.
Yeah, I haven't even considered, because I'd only seen that frost one once, because it comes from one of the rares, doesn't it?
I think so. I haven't
Yeah, 'cause
paid super close attention. What
the only rare I had today was the big dog.
Okay.
So like the power it dropped for me both times was like increased my base stats. I increased my health by like 16%, and I regened health per
Oh,
every 5 seconds, which was insane.
yeah.
But the one of the anima powers it likes to throw at me is like my next 3 hits of glaive throw reduces the mob's health to 50%. So I can only imagine what that would go with the frostbite
Oh,
thing.
yeah. I think these are also ways people were like killing the Terra crew.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no stuff like that, like where you can just where it's just nuts.
Frazley, what about you? I mean, your time in there has been limited, but from what you've seen so far, is there anything you'd like to?
Yes, it's going to be kind of a tall order because there's a lot required for it. But if they can really put out a bunch of new maps, new enemies, new things every like so many floors, even bring back old maps that we already have in old dungeons. Like if they can really make it where you go in there and it's different, it can really be exciting because add that to the anima powers. If this tower can feel almost like it's always fresh, I enjoyed that of Risk of Rain too. I when I was playing that, every map seemed different, and I think it'd be cool in Torghast if they can build a system where you're constantly changing. I mean, and not just be like what they said in Argus with the portals to other worlds, where they'll be a different, and they're all just like
Yeah,
the
the
round.
same 3 every week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like make this Torghast feel unique because
I feel that would be something we'll get a base set, and then every season they'll add like more things.
I'd like that. I
yeah,
think the challenge there is keeping it where it still feels like the jailer's Tower of the Damned.
yeah.
Like if it is his Tower of the Damned, why would he have this world that looks like X or Y? I'm sure they could come up with a reason. Like
I I was excited by what Atlas said. I think last week he said that they are seeing that the tower is going to possibly be connected to so many different worlds,
mhm.
and
Well, the tower's meant to, like lore wise, the tower's meant to be the breaching point between Azeroth over Icecrown Citadel and the Shadowlands. Like part of what we're going to be doing is, from what I understand, is going to be the Maw, and part of the tower is going to be our intro scenario into Shadowlands.
okay,
So,
I can't wait.
you
I
know,
can't wait for that.
yeah,
it's going to be so cool. And like, there's been so many lore tidbits that have come out on WoW Chakra and the interview with Preach and just about everybody else who's had interviews right now. There's like, if you're not keeping up on Wowhead or one of the other sites like Blizzard Watch who keep up to date with everything, then you absolutely should, because there's sites like that which can gather all the information so you don't have to sit there and try to piece together what they're saying
oh,
half the time.
I just figured it out. See, so Nomergon. Do you want to know how I can make this with
I
Nomergon?
do not want to see Gnomergon in the Tower of the Damned, Frazley. No, I'll see all the gnomes in prison there.
He's
I do not want to see Gnomergon.
he's like
in there.
that's too hellish. That's
Yeah.
that's a step too far.
Well, what I'm thinking is we turn Nomergon into like the holodeck in Star Wars, where they bring in all these different levels. So in the next expansion, we enjoyed Torghast. So the gnomes are like, you know what, we're gonna bring Torghast back again, but you get to go to all these different places, and like we've made it all like holographic and stuff. And
So what you're saying is Gnomergon is going to be the world's garrison where we never have to leave.
exactly, and
That sounds more like hell on earth than I
Yeah, I
can
was
even
gonna say
possibly
the
imagine.
gnomes designed a better hell than the jailer.
Right, brilliant stuff. Right, it's been a fantastic show, but unfortunately, as most things, everything must come to an end. Mitch, if they want to find you around the internet, where could they look for you?
Twitter's the best place for me personally. Twitter.com/MitchFizzle. Fizzl there. No E. Everything else I do is for Blizzard Watch. Well, everything Blizzard related, obviously, which is blizzardwatch.com. We have streams almost every single day of the week. It's different people streaming, but that's twitch.tv/blizzardwatch. And then, of course, Blizzard Watch's Twitter is just twitter.com/blizzardwatch. So we have pretty regular content. It's not just WoW. We cover all things Blizzard. But yeah, please check us out. I'd appreciate it.
Mitch's Twitter handle has been above his name if you've been watching the vidcast. If you're catching us on the VOD, everything will be in the description. Same with the podcast and everything else. Mr. Frazley Tastic, where can they find you around the internet if they don't know already?
Definitely Twitter with at Frazlytastic. You can find my puns and different things, different thoughts that I have. Sometimes pre-caffeine, sometimes post-caffeine. And then if you want to find my podcast Frazzlecast, where I talk with different people across Azeroth, I had Just Mephisto on this past episode. If you're hearing this on the download, and that was a great episode, then that's at gnome.podcast.com. And if you want to see my shenanigans on Twitch, where I do different things, eat jelly beans, feed my cat, but go through different things, that's at gnome.live.
Brilliant stuff. As always, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on the main account at Titans Creed. You can find my Twitter account if you just want the videos, podcasts, and streams over at Gaming Phoenix. If you want to catch videos like this live, you can catch it on twitch.tv/Project Phoenix Productions. And if you want to catch the VODs and the rest of the YouTube stuff that I do, you can find it over at youtube.com/Project Phoenix Productions. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us today, talking about Torghast and everything else.
Blast.
It's been a ton of fun. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. Streams are going to be a bit on the shy side for me for the next 5 weeks as I'm gearing up for my annual charity stream.
Yes,
which is...
If you're listening, you can make Pete wear oven mitts while playing games and then have him curse your name to oblivion.
Yes. If you haven't caught any of the Race for Good stuff, guys, it's an absolute blast. There'll be lots more information coming out from myself over the next coming weeks. But I'll be gearing up for that. So streams might be on the low side from me. But as always, you can catch these gentlemen. Mr. Frazley Tastic is streaming just about every day.
Yep.
And Mitch has got, if it's not Mitch streaming, there'll be tons of the other Blizzard Watch guys streaming anyway.
Yeah.
So do catch them. But as we bid adieu, as Mr. Frazley always likes to say,
be awesome, and don't forget to bring your personal Malrat bombs.